Okay, so what on earth does a 19th century sea voyage have to do with getting noticed by today's AI? Well, it turns out a whole lot more than you'd think. We're about to dive into Charles Darwin's original blueprint for building authority, and believe me, it's a strategy that's more critical now than ever before. I know it sounds like a totally random question, right? But the answer, and this is the cool part, lies in a really powerful principle that Darwin stumbled upon. It's something that directly maps onto how we build authority and get seen in this crazy digital age. And it all kicked off with a very, very long boat trip.
So, picture this. It's December 27th, 1831. A young guy, a pretty unknown naturalist named Charles Darwin, hops on a ship called the HMS Beagle. And this wasn't some quick weekend trip, This was a massive 5-year expedition all around the globe. And it was this journey, this trek across 4 different continents, that gave him everything he needed for his world-changing book on the origin of species.
But here's what's so fascinating about how he did it. Darwin's whole strategy, his whole game plan, wasn't just about collecting a ton of stuff. It was about diversity. He just seemed to get it, He understood that having proof from all over the place, all different kinds of proof, was way more powerful.
I mean, just think about it for a second. He wasn't just hanging out in one spot. He was digging up these ancient fossils in South America that looked strangely like animals still walking around. Then he pops over to the Galápagos Islands and finds these finches where, on each island, their beaks were totally different, perfectly suited for the food there. And then he's off to Australia, documenting marsupials that you just couldn't find anywhere else on Earth. Every single piece of evidence, from every different location, was like another piece of this giant, incredible puzzle.
And this right here, this quote just nails the core idea perfectly. Having 100 blog posts all on your own website, that's just not going to beat 10 solid pieces of evidence from 10 completely different places. This was his secret sauce. It's why his theory has lasted. Okay, so let's break this down. Take a look at this comparison. On the one hand, you've got repetition, right? If you brought back 100 birds from just one island, someone could easily say, that's just a weird thing happening on that one island. It's an anomaly. Weak proof. But on the other hand, you've got verification. When you show up with evidence from 4 continents, from dozens of different islands, well, you can't ignore that. Each independent source was basically backing up the others, and together they built a theory that was pretty much unshakable. All right, let's fast forward to today. It's kind of wild, but most businesses and creators today are making the exact same mistake that Darwin sidestepped. They're so focused on repetition that they're basically becoming invisible to the AI systems that are shaping everything.
So let me ask you, does any of this sound a little familiar? Pouring every ounce of energy into your company blog, or posting like crazy every single day, but only on Instagram. Or maybe building this gigantic, amazing library of resources that lives in only one place, your website. That, right there, is the single source trap. Yeah, you might be making a lot of noise, but you're not building that distributed trust that AI is actually designed to look for.
Okay, so what's the fix? How do we get around this? Well, we can literally just take Darwin's blueprint and apply it to what we're doing now. And we call this strategy the multipolar content system. Now, multipolar content is not about just being louder than everyone else. It's about being smarter, about strategically placing your expertise in a bunch of different places in a bunch of different ways. When you do this, AI systems start bumping into your ideas from all these independent sources, and that builds real trust through variety, not just sheer volume. So this whole system is built on 4 main pillars. You can think of these as your modern-day version of Darwin sailing to different continents. You've got to distribute across platforms, vary your formats, spread your efforts out across time, and multiply your contexts. First up, platform distribution. Just look at the chart here. You can see how the verification strength just explodes when you go from being on just one platform to being on 5 or more. It's just like how Darwin's fossils from South America helped prove his findings from Australia. Your LinkedIn profile verifies what's on your website, which in turn verifies what's on your YouTube channel. For an AI, each one of those is a separate, powerful data point saying, hey, this person knows their stuff. Pillar number 2, format variety. Remember, Darwin wasn't just collecting finches. He had fossils, plants, rock samples, the whole shebang. In the same way, your big idea can't just live in one format. You need to mix it up. And why is that so important? Well, because different AIs are trained on totally different kinds of data. Google's search AI might love your long, detailed articles, but YouTube's algorithm, it's all about video. By using different formats, you make sure you're visible to all of them. All right, Pillar 3 is all about spreading your content across time. Darwin's Voyage, remember, took 5 years,
It wasn't a flash in the pan. Consistency over a long, long time sends a huge signal of legitimacy. Think about it. A sudden blast of 20 articles and then a year of total radio silence, that looks kind of spammy, right? But publishing steadily, consistently for over a year, that builds a real pattern of authority that AI systems are built to trust.
And last but definitely not least, we have Pillar 4, multiplying context. This one is a game changer. Just look at this table. You've got your owned context, right? That's your blog, your website, where you say you're an expert. Then you have third-party context, like when you write a guest post or appear on a podcast. That's someone else giving you their stage. And then the gold standard, client context. We're talking testimonials, reviews, where other people confirm your expertise. This creates this amazing trust loop. The AI sees that other sources, ones you have absolutely no control over, are all backing up your claims. That is incredibly powerful.
So when you bring all 4 of these pillars together, you start to shift your mindset. You stop just focusing on repetition, on just making more noise, and instead, you start building something so much more valuable, an enduring, resilient digital footprint, something that can actually survive all the crazy changes that are always happening online.
Okay, so where do you start? What can you do like today? Here are 3 really simple first steps. 1. Just map out where all your content lives right now. Find your single source gap. Are you putting all your eggs in one basket? 2. Take one of your best pieces of content and figure out how to adapt it for a totally new platform. Turn a blog post into a video or a video into a thread. And 3. Pitch yourself to be a guest on one podcast. That's a perfect way to start multiplying your context.
You know, Darwin's theory has been picked apart and scrutinized for more than 150 years, and it's still standing strong. Why? Because the evidence he presented was multipolar. It came from all over the planet, it came in all different forms, and it was verified again and again by countless independent people over time. That's the incredible power of this strategy.
And that really just leaves us with one final big question for you to think about. When you really look at your own work, at how you're sharing your expertise with the world, are you building an enduring theory, something that's backed up from multiple angles and is built to last? Or are you basically just creating a single island anomaly, something interesting for a moment, but ultimately destined to be forgotten? That choice, that's up to you.